It's funny how I gave her everything, but all I got back was coldness and disrespect. To her, I was just a delivery guy. No money, no status. She didn't think twice about leaving me for another man and asking for a divorce. I didn't beg. I didn't argue. I agreed right away. I won't waste my time on someone who doesn't deserve it, but soon they'll regret it. I'll make sure they spend the rest of their lives living with that regret. My name is Ethan Carter. I'm a delivery driver. It's not a glamorous job, but it's honest work. I spend most of my days driving around the city, dropping off packages to people I'll probably never meet again. But for me, this job was always enough, until the day it all fell apart. That afternoon, I parked my old white delivery van in front of my own house. The engine rattled as I turned it off. My boots crunched against the gravel driveway as I walked up the path, a small cardboard package in my hands. It was one of those quiet, sunny days, the kind of day that used to make me feel lucky. But today, something felt off. When I opened the front door, I saw Rachel, my wife, sitting on the couch. Her blonde hair was perfectly styled, her makeup flawless, like she was expecting someone. And she was. Sitting next to her was Jason Morgan, a man I'd seen around, a wealthy, well-dressed guy with a smug smile that always seemed glued to his face. "There he is," Jason said, without even looking up. "The delivery boy." The words hit me like a slap. I forced a smile, trying to keep my voice steady. "Hey, Rachel, I got the package you were waiting for." Rachel finally looked at me, but there was no warmth in her eyes, no love, just cold indifference. "Leave it on the table." I stepped forward, but Jason leaned back, a smug grin on his face. "Actually, Rachel and I were just talking about something important. Isn't that right, babe?" Babe. He called her that. My stomach twisted, but I tried to stay calm. "Rachel, what's going on?" She stood up, crossed her arms, and looked at me like I was a stranger. "Ethan, I think it's time we stopped pretending." "Pretending?" I managed to say, my voice barely above a whisper. "Yes," she replied, her tone sharp. "Pretending that this is a marriage. Pretending that we're happy. I can't do this anymore. I want a divorce." My heart stopped. I had known things weren't great. We had our fights, and she had been distant for months, but I never thought it would come to this. Jason's grin widened. "Don't take it too hard, man. Rachel deserves someone who can actually take care of her. Someone who isn't stuck delivering packages for a living." My fists clenched, but I forced myself to breathe. I looked at Rachel, hoping to see some regret, some doubt, but all I saw was cold determination. "Is that what you want?" I asked. "Yes," she said, her voice icy. "The divorce papers are ready, just sign them." So this was planned. She didn't just decide this today. She had been preparing for this, setting it all up. And she chose today, while I was still wearing my delivery uniform, to humiliate me. I swallowed the anger rising in my chest. "I'll sign them," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "But I just need to understand." "Why? Why?" She laughed, a cruel sound. "Look at you, Ethan. You're a delivery driver. That's all you are. That's all you'll ever be. I want more. I deserve more." Jason leaned back, looking at me like I was a joke. "See, some people are meant to be winners. And some are just meant to deliver packages." I looked between them. For a moment, I saw the woman I married, the one who used to laugh at my jokes, who used to dance with me in the kitchen for no reason. But that woman was gone. In her place was someone I didn't recognize. "Fine," I whispered. "If that's how you feel." I placed the package on the table, turned, and walked out. The laughter from the living room followed me as I stepped outside. I climbed into my van, shut the door, and stared at my reflection in the rearview mirror. My uniform was wrinkled, my hair a mess, my eyes tired. Just a delivery man, I whispered to myself. Just a nobody. But even as I said it, something inside me refused to accept it. I gripped the steering wheel, my knuckles turning white. They thought they knew me. They thought they had me figured out. But they didn't. Not even close. I didn't go back home that night. I drove aimlessly, my van rumbling down quiet streets lit by the fading light of dusk. My phone buzzed a few times, Rachel's name flashing on the screen. But I ignored it. What was there left to say? She'd made her choice. I pulled into an empty parking lot near the riverbank. I leaned back in the driver's seat, staring up at the darkening sky. The words echoed in my mind. Just a delivery man. Just a nobody. But I wasn't nobody. Not really. It was a truth I had buried for years, a truth I had tried to escape. But tonight, with everything falling apart, it was time to stop running. My real name wasn't just Ethan Carter. I was Ethan Carter III, the estranged grandson of Walter Carter, founder and chairman of Carter Holdings, one of the largest investment firms in the city. My family was one of the wealthiest in the state, but wealth had never brought happiness, not in my family. It had only brought control, manipulation, and cruelty. I grew up in the shadow of my father and grandfather, both powerful men who expected me to follow in their footsteps. But I never fit their mold. I wasn't ruthless enough. I didn't crave power. I wanted a simple life, a life where I could be free to make my own choices. So when my father tried to force me into a business marriage I didn't want, I left. I walked away from the family fortune, from the boardrooms and luxury cars, and chose my own path. That path led me to a quiet life as a delivery driver. It wasn't glamorous, but it was honest. It was mine. I thought Rachel understood that. I thought she loved me for who I was. But I was wrong. As I sat in the van, the cold night air seeping through the cracked window, something changed inside me. The shame, the anger, the heartbreak, it all hardened into something else. Determination. I wasn't going to be humiliated. Not by Rachel. Not by Jason. Not by anyone. I grabbed my phone and dialed a number I hadn't used in years. It rang 3 times before a familiar voice answered. Ethan? The voice was calm but surprised. Is that really you? Uncle Henry, I said, my voice steady. I think it's time we talked. The next morning, I found myself standing in the grand lobby of Carter Holdings. Polished marble floors stretched out beneath a massive crystal chandelier. Business people in tailored suits rushed by, some of them glancing curiously at me. I probably looked out of place in my plain black jacket and jeans, but I didn't care. A young woman at the front desk looked up with a practiced smile. Good morning. Do you have an appointment? I'm here to see Henry Carter, I said. Her smile faltered. I'm sorry, sir. Mr. Carter is a very busy man. If you could... Tell him his nephew Ethan is here, I interrupted, my voice calm but firm. Trust me, he'll want to see me. She hesitated, then picked up the phone. A minute later she looked up, her face pale. Mr. Carter will see you. Please follow me. I was led through a maze of glass-walled offices until we reached a massive corner office. My Uncle Henry stood by the window, looking out over the city skyline. He turned as I entered, his silver hair perfectly combed, his sharp blue eyes studying me. Ethan, he said, a slow smile spreading across his face. So the prodigal son returns. I always knew you'd come back one day. I'm not back, I replied, but I need your help. He gestured to a leather chair in front of his desk. Then let's talk. I told him everything, about Rachel, about Jason, about the divorce, about how I had walked away from the family, fortune, because I wanted to build a life of my own, only to lose everything in the end. To my surprise, Henry listened without interrupting, his expression thoughtful. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair. So, you want to fight back? I'm not asking for a handout, I said quickly. I just need a chance to prove myself, to show them they were wrong about me. Henry's smile widened. Spoken like a true Carter. You may have walked away, but you never really changed. He picked up his phone and dialed a number. Janet, get me the legal department, and have finance prepare a special account. Yes, that's right, in Ethan Carter's name. My heart raced. What are you doing? Giving you your chance, Ethan. You want to show them who you are? Then I'll give you the tools, but you have to decide how you'll use them. By the end of the day, I walked out of Carter Holdings with a briefcase full of documents and a bank account that most people would consider a fortune. But it wasn't about the money. It was about taking control of my life. It was about making a statement. I rented a suite at a luxury hotel, swapped my delivery uniform for a tailored suit, and spent the next few days preparing. I made calls, arranged meetings, and reconnected with people I had once known but had avoided for years. The first call I made was to a lawyer, a ruthless, sharp-witted woman named Sarah Blake. Within hours, she was working on my divorce case, ensuring that I would walk away with everything I deserved and more. The second call was to a private investigator. I wanted to know everything about Jason Morgan, the man who thought he could take what was mine. And then, with everything in motion, I made one last call, to Rachel. She answered on the second ring. Ethan? Her voice was surprised, almost nervous. Rachel, I said, my voice calm. We need to talk. I'll see you tomorrow. I ended the call without waiting for a response, a sense of cold resolve settling over me. Tomorrow, she would see me again. But I wouldn't be the man she had laughed at. I would be the man she never saw coming. The next day, I arrived at the upscale cafe 15 minutes early. I chose a table by the window, where the sunlight streamed in, casting a warm glow across the polished marble floor. Dressed in a crisp navy suit and a charcoal gray tie, I felt like a completely different person. Maybe I was. Rachel walked in right on time. She wore a fitted cream-colored blouse and a pencil skirt, her blonde hair perfectly styled, her makeup flawless. She looked around, her eyes searching until they landed on me. For a moment, she hesitated, her expression confused. Ethan? She asked, walking over. Is that you? It is, I said, gesturing to the chair across from me. Please sit. She lowered herself slowly, her eyes still fixed on me. You look different. People change, I said, leaning back. Or maybe they just stop pretending. Her eyes narrowed. What's this about, Ethan? I thought we agreed. You agreed, I interrupted. You decided our marriage was over. You decided I was just a delivery man who didn't deserve you. So I decided it was time to remind you. Her confusion deepened. Who I really am. What are you talking about? I'm talking about the fact that I'm not just a delivery driver, Rachel. My full name is Ethan Carter III. My family owns Carter Holdings. I walked away from all of it to build a life of my own. A life I thought you wanted to be part of. But I guess I was wrong. Her face went pale, her perfectly composed expression cracking. Wait, you're serious? You're part of that Carter family? Yes, I said simply. And now, thanks to you, I've come back. And I'm taking control of my life. Starting with you. She shifted uncomfortably. Ethan, I didn't know. I thought you were just a nobody? I finished for her. Just a delivery driver? That's how you saw me. That's why you threw me away the moment someone wealthier showed interest. Her lips parted, but she had no words. The woman who had always known what to say, who had always held the upper hand, was speechless. I could have walked away quietly, I continued, but I'm not going to. Our divorce settlement is being handled by my lawyer, Sarah Blake. You remember her? The one who took down that real estate scammer last year? She's very good, and she's making sure I leave with everything I'm entitled to. Rachel's hands tightened on the edge of the table. Ethan, please, I didn't mean to hurt you. I was scared. I thought I needed more. I thought you didn't what? I leaned forward, my voice low. Didn't make enough money? Didn't fit into your idea of success? You thought I didn't matter because I wasn't flaunting a fortune? Well, now you know. And it's too late. Her eyes glistened with tears. Ethan, please, we can fix this. I was stupid. I'm not interested. I cut her off. And I didn't just call you here to talk. I wanted to let you know that Jason won't be a problem for you anymore. Her face twisted with confusion. What do you mean? I had a private investigator look into him, I said calmly. Turns out his company is deeply in debt. His so-called wealth is a lie. He's been using you as much as you've been using me. No, that can't be, she whispered, shaking her head. He promised, he said what you wanted to hear. I leaned back. But now, his debts have caught up with him. My family's legal team is pressing charges, fraud, embezzlement, you name it. He won't be around much longer. Tears spilled over her cheeks now, her perfect mascara beginning to smear. Ethan, I don't know what to do. Live with your choices, I said, my voice cold. That's what I'm doing, but I'm doing it on my terms. I stood up, placing a thick envelope on the table. Here are the divorce papers. Sign them, and my lawyer will handle the rest. Don't contact me again. Wait! She cried, reaching for my hand. Ethan, please, I'm sorry, I was wrong. But I stepped back, leaving her there, alone and desperate, a reflection of the emptiness she had left in me. By the time I walked out of the cafe, a weight had lifted off my chest. The pain was still there, but it was different now, more like a scar than an open wound. I climbed into my sleek black sedan, one of the perks of having rejoined my family's world, and checked my phone. A message from Sarah Blake waited for me. Sarah, all divorce documents are ready. We're also finalizing the settlement in your favor. By the way, Jason Morgan is trying to flee the country. I've alerted the authorities. I smiled, a cold satisfaction settling in. Jason thought he could steal my life, but he was just a con man playing at wealth. Now he would pay for it. My next call was to Henry. Uncle, it's done. Good, he said, his voice calm. You handled it well. Are you ready for the next step? I am, I replied, but I want to do it my way. No more hiding, no more pretending. Spoken like a true Carter, he chuckled. Welcome back, Ethan. But I wasn't just back. I was stronger. I had been humiliated, abandoned, and underestimated. But now I was something else, someone else. I was Ethan Carter III, heir to the Carter fortune. But more importantly, I was a man who had learned the hard way who he could trust. And now, I wasn't just going to rebuild my life. I was going to take control of it. Jason and Rachel were just the beginning. There were others who had laughed at me, looked down on me, seen me as just a delivery driver. But they would all see. They would all learn. I made one more call, this time to my family's legal department. This is Ethan Carter. I want you to compile a list of every company connected to Jason Morgan. And then, start making calls. As I drove away, the city stretched out before me, a maze of opportunity. I had wasted enough time. Now, it was my turn to play the game. And this time, I wasn't playing to lose. Days turned into weeks, and the life I had once known became a distant memory. I was no longer Ethan, the delivery driver. I was Ethan Carter III, wealthy, powerful, and unafraid. But the change wasn't just on the surface, it was inside me. I had learned the hard way that being kind and humble only made you a target for those who saw it as weakness. I spent my days at Carter Holdings, learning the ins and outs of the family empire. My Uncle Henry became both a mentor and a test. He guided me, but he also challenged me, forcing me to make tough decisions. I wasn't just some figurehead. I was being shaped into a leader. But I wasn't just focused on business. I hadn't forgotten what Rachel and Jason did to me, how they used me, how they laughed at me. I made sure Jason Morgan's fraudulent empire crumbled to dust. His accounts were frozen, his properties seized, and his reputation destroyed. The last I heard, he was trying to flee the country under a fake name. Rachel, on the other hand, tried to cling to her old life, but without Jason's false promises, she found herself struggling. Her friends, who once adored her for her beauty and charm, disappeared when the glamour faded. She tried calling me, texting me, even showing up at my office, begging for a second chance. But I never saw her. I didn't need to. One rainy afternoon, I was in my office, reviewing some documents, when my assistant Claire knocked and stepped in. "Mr. Carter, there's a woman downstairs asking to see you. She's been here for over an hour. Security asked her to leave, but she won't go." I didn't need to ask who it was. "Rachel?" "Yes, sir." I leaned back in my leather chair, looking out at the rain streaming down the glass windows. Part of me wanted to ignore her, to let her stand in the cold until she gave up. But another part of me, some stubborn old piece of my heart, wanted closure. "Send her up," I said, almost against my better judgment. Minutes later, Rachel walked into my office, soaked from the rain, her once perfect makeup smeared, her eyes red from crying. She looked nothing like the cold, composed woman who had laughed at me in our living room. Now, she looked lost. "Ethan," she whispered, her voice trembling. Please talk to me." I stood, keeping the massive oak desk between us. "I think we said everything we needed to say the last time we met." "I'm sorry," she sobbed, covering her face with her hands. "I was wrong. I was so stupid. I thought I needed someone richer, someone who could give me everything, but I didn't realize what I was losing." I studied her for a moment, my expression calm. "You lost me, Rachel. You threw me away for a man who lied to you. And now you want me to forgive you? To pretend it didn't happen?" Tears streamed down her face. "I don't expect you to forgive me. I just want you to know how sorry I am. I didn't know who you really were, but that doesn't matter. I hurt you, and I lost the only real thing I ever had." Her words were raw, desperate, but I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, just a hollow sense of distance. "Rachel," I said, my voice calm but firm, "you didn't lose me because you didn't know I was a Carter. You lost me because you never loved me. You loved the idea of what I could give you. And when you thought I was just a delivery driver, you saw nothing worth staying for." "I was wrong," she whispered. "Please, give me another chance." I shook my head. "Number. I've moved on. You should too." She took a shaky step forward. "Ethan, please." "Leave," I said, my voice cold as steel. "Don't come here again. This is the last time we speak." Her shoulders slumped, her face crumpling as she turned and stumbled out of the office. I watched her go, feeling nothing but a faint sense of relief. As the door closed behind her, Claire stepped in quietly. "Should I call security next time, sir?" I nodded. "Yes. Don't let her back in." Turning back to the window, I watched the rain fall, the gray city stretching out before me. Rachel was my past, one that I had left behind. But I wasn't just a man running from his mistakes. I was a man building something new. I took a deep breath and picked up the phone. "Uncle Henry, I've been thinking. It's time I started my own branch of the company. Something new, something that's mine." His voice on the other end was warm with approval. "That's the spirit, Ethan. Tell me your idea." And I did. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't just reacting. I was creating, planning, moving forward. I wasn't just Ethan Carter III, heir to a fortune. I was Ethan Carter, my own man. Months passed, and my life transformed. Carter Holdings continued to thrive, but now it had a new division, Carter Ventures, a company I built from the ground up. We invested in innovative startups, supported young entrepreneurs, and promoted businesses with real integrity. It was everything I once thought impossible, a place where wealth met purpose. I was no longer just a shadow in my family's legacy. I had built my own. Uncle Henry became my most trusted advisor, but he also let me lead. He knew this was my journey, and I was no longer just playing a role in someone else's story. I was writing my own. My days were filled with meetings, negotiations, and decisions that could shape entire industries. My name was known now, not just as a Carter, but as someone who made things happen. People didn't look down on me anymore. They looked up. But it wasn't just business. I hadn't forgotten who I was. I quietly funded scholarships for low-income students, supported charities for working families, and invested in small businesses, run by people like I once was. One evening after a long day at the office, I found myself driving through the old neighborhood, the quiet streets where I used to deliver packages. I pulled over in front of a familiar brick house, the same house where Rachel once stood with Jason, mocking me. But now it looked different, smaller, faded. A for sale sign hung in the front yard. The windows were dark, the lawn was overgrown. Rachel had lost everything. After our divorce, her debts piled up. Jason was gone, fleeing his crimes. Her so-called friends had moved on. She had tried to reach out to me a few more times, but I never responded. I didn't need to. I had already moved on. As I sat there, a calm sense of closure washed over me. Not anger, not sadness, just peace. My phone buzzed, pulling me back. It was Sarah Blake, my lawyer, and now a close friend. "Ethan, I have an interesting proposal for you. Another startup seeking investors, medical technology. It looks promising." "Send me the details," I said, starting the engine. As I drove away, the city lights sparkled ahead of me. The past was behind me. Rachel, the heartbreak, the humiliation. It had all been a lesson, a painful one, but a lesson nonetheless. I wasn't just Ethan Carter III. I wasn't just a delivery driver. I was Ethan Carter, a man who had lost everything and rebuilt himself stronger. And I was just getting started.